Thank you for joining us. It looks like we lost a little bit of the riffraff to early morning flights, but that's okay. Thank you for being here. We've got a fantastic panel. We're going to start by sharing a little bit of research that we conducted in partnership with NAG around digital, mobile ordering, delivery, food service, and how those come together to help break into new day parts. And then we're going to break into a panel. My name's Kevin Rice. I'm one of the original co-founders of Hathaway. We recently joined forces with our new parent company, Bounteous. So we help restaurants and convenience retailers compete and win digitally through marketing and technology services. And I'm going to turn it over to somebody who needs very little introduction and frankly deserves a big round of applause for hosting a fantastic event, John Lofstock.
I thought you were talking about G-Men. So as Kevin mentioned, we have a great retailer panel. We have G-Man from Dashin. I just worry about his energy level, so I don't know if he's going to be energetic enough for this panel. And Joy Almaquias, who's on our NAG board and needs no introduction. She's one of the foremost food service people in the industry. So one of the things we're going to be talking about is expanding the evening day part, and you're going to share some research with us.
I am. I'll kick it off here. If anybody wants to move forward, we do have some goodies up front. We've printed out some of the research, so feel free. There's plenty of room up front. So the first thing we looked into was just kind of the trends in mobile ordering and delivery, which frankly, it's hard to even call it a trend at this point because it's really here. It's substantial. Consumers are expecting this, and these expectations have really grown and changed over the last couple of years during the pandemic. We found of the participants in our study that basically half of them are ordering digitally for delivery from convenience store brands they have in the last 12 months. But further, nearly 1/3 have ordered digitally from convenience store brands in the last 30 days alone. So there's growing demand. If you look at it by demographic and you look at age groups, there's some highly coveted Gen Z, millennial demographics that skew even higher when you look into their ordering preferences. And again, this kind of makes sense, right? Like we all spent the last 2 years in pandemic living, and we kind of redefined what convenience was. Because convenience is having anything you want in the palm of your hand to be able to order it and either pick it up at curbside or have it delivered to your front door in less than an hour. So not only is this here, but it's actually growing. We saw that basically 4 out of 5 participants in our study not only say they're going to continue ordering digitally and for delivery, but they're going to continue to do more of it in the near future. And this is pretty much universal. So the growth is consistent across age group and demographic. And you would expect, maybe your first thought is, well, food service, this is really the tip of the spear. This is, my opportunity with mobile ordering and delivery. But the reality is this is a cross category opportunity for convenience retailers. Our participants said, yes, of course, they want to order prepared food, made-to-order foods, but they also want to be able to order fill-in grocery items. They want to be able to bundle alcohol. Alcohol sales have exploded online since the pandemic, but maybe they're running low on household items, and they want to fill in with those, and tobacco products as well. So this is really an opportunity to actually build baskets, capture a greater share of wallet. Nearly all of our participants, 86% of them, said that they are in fact interested in bundling cross-category products. They are looking to order a mix of prepared foods, grocery items, and others. And again, this is pretty much universal. It's across all age groups and demographics. When consumers are looking to order from a convenience retailer, of our study, 44% of them said that the availability of mobile ordering was the number one decision-making criteria or factor when they were deciding where to order from. So if you're not offering this, then they're going to your competitors. Or more likely, they're going to third-party aggregators. So they're going to DoorDash, GoPuff, Grubhub. This is how they're getting their products. And that is a somewhat risky proposition because you're essentially outsourcing your relationship with your customers. You're becoming intermediated to where they're transacting with a third party to receive your products, and you no longer have that direct relationship with them. You're not capturing the transaction, you're not capturing valuable first-party data, and you're not able to market back to those customers. So you lose a lot of learnings, and you lose a lot of the ability to communicate directly with your customers. The reality is there's a huge gap between what consumers have come to expect over the last couple of years and what our industry is actually delivering. Consistently, you have shoppers who are coming to convenience retailers to order for delivery, or order digitally, order for delivery, and they're unable to. Again, in our study, 42% of them said that they have come to their favorite convenience retailers and been unable to order digitally. And so, they turn to competitors or they turn to, third-party intermediaries. And this is where our study really came together, and this is kind of where we had the idea for this panel is the evening day part, which has typically been somewhat elusive for our industry, is the number one most preferred delivery time for C-store shoppers. So if you take all those insights and you bring them together and you look at digital programs and you look at food service programs, it creates tremendous opportunity for any of us to acquire new customers, better meet our customers' expectations, build baskets, capture greater share of wallet, and even move into new day parts. So that's really just the primer for our panel. And now we're going to hear from people who are living and breathing this every single day. So to kick us off, maybe Joy, you could tell us a little bit about just kind of the lay of the land, your retail food service programs at Alltown Fresh.
Yes, thank you. Alltown Fresh is what we would call our flagship, our flagship location with regards to our food service. We have two different platforms. We have an Alltown Legacy portfolio, and we also have the Alltown Fresh, which is the more, I would say, an elevated food service offering. We became an experience for the consumer, or we like to call them guests. We have made a huge investment with the Alltown Fresh brand to offer something beyond what a regular QSR would normally see. We actually put a true restaurant inside of our gas stations, sorry. And we like to think of ourselves as a company that has, a really premier food offering, and as a result, we become a destination for ordering, and we take this very seriously. We actually do our own delivery because we want to make sure that our guest receives this beautiful food offering in a way that we feel comfortable servicing. On our Legacy brand, I would say we're more like an impulse buy. We are working toward developing an evening brand that would be something that would be orderable, but for the most part, our Alltown Fresh brand far outpaces a traditional QSR. And we have things unique, and we become a destination as a result. We do things from Japanese bento boxes to real smoked pulled pork, all kinds of different items that you normally would not find in a regular QSR at all, and it's a very high level. We're very proud of what we've done, and as a result, we see a lot of ordering. Catering is a huge with our Alltown Fresh. We see our afternoon part growing as well, with office catering, people getting back to work every day. And the general consumer, with regards to the evening piece, on their way home from work, they'll order a roasted chicken dinner and bring it home. They'll order one of our quinoa bowls for serve 6 to 8 people. The basket ring is high, but we serve a quality product for a fair price. And as far as the business with the delivery, again, we do want to do it ourselves. We want to make sure that the experience is best in class. That's how we handle that piece.
And so, before I move on to G-Man, how has that helped your top line sales, given that retail food service is typically a high margin line of business for this industry?
We control our controllables. Therefore, our retail sales and our margin is strong in all our food service programs. And it's just a matter of understanding cost of goods, labor. I'm not telling anybody here that the things that they don't know that we need to pay attention to, especially with the rising cost of goods. We take special attention to make sure that we work with our manufacturer partners, that we work with, our distribution partners to make sure that we're getting the best that we can from them.
G-Man, how about yourself? Could you just kind of give us the lay of the land, retail food service offerings within Dashin?
Yeah, but before I get started, just want to make sure everybody, so my name is Gaurang Menyar, or G-Man, and it says that I work for the Wills Group. Just want to give you guys the lay of the land. The Wills Group is a company based in the Mid-Atlantic and has 3 different businesses. Dashin convenience stores, which are about 56 convenience stores we operate in the Mid-Atlantic and growing. We have our car wash business called Splashin', and we have about 48 of those, most of them commingled with our Dashin convenience stores. And then our dealer sites. So we have about 225 dealer sites where we do fuel deliveries. So obviously everything we're going to talk about today is all about Dashin and what happened at Dashin. So I just want to kind of give everybody the lay of the land first. Also, thank you, John and Kevin, for having us on this panel. Appreciate it. So Dashin, the 56 stores that we have today, over 2/3 of them have been remodeled over the past couple of years in order for them to have a kitchen. And when I say a kitchen, I mean it's a display kitchen. Think of it as retail theater. It's a pretty cool thing that we have where, yes, it's a kiosk and a customer can order through the kiosk, and then you can actually see your food being made fresh behind the counter. So we have a big griddle where our team member is going to make the food behind. But like simple things like we might be amongst the few retailers in the country that crack fresh eggs for our breakfast sandwiches. So we have a pretty unique and a differentiated approach. Also, you have to think about some of the competitors we operate with in the Mid-Atlantic. So we had to differentiate ourselves from that point of view. And our food service program has taken off. I mean, tremendously. It's big. And over the next 2 to 3 years, all the remaining stores that we have, our legacy stores, they are going to go through the transition and go in and get the kitchen. So we have the full-fledged food service program. And we have over 70 items on the menu but in big categories, it's like the quesadillas, breakfast sandwiches, subs, wraps, pizzas, wings. So, you can have different combinations of those and can get out there, but we're always innovating, always trying new things. The unique thing for us in our food service program, I know that there are traditional margins people are used to, and NAG puts out the state of the industry and has traditional margins. I think we are significantly higher than that because our recipes are proprietary, our sauces are made in-house, and even small things like our veggies and stuff, they don't come pre-made or pre-cooked or pre-cut. Everything comes in fresh, and then our teams do all the prepping. So we are all into food service, and it's been a big driver of change. It's been a big driver of margin and profitability for us as a company.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a big part of your overall growth strategy.
Yeah.
So, John, question for you. Aside
Yes.
from Dashin and Alltown, of course, who are some of the leading convenience retailers as it relates to food service offerings, in your opinion?
Oh, well, I think everyone knows who they are. The Wawas and Sheetz, and if you haven't had Royal Farms chicken or Dodge's chicken, these are legendary programs. It's funny, it kind of segues into something that I thought about, and I think I spoke to Joy about this at our board meeting. When you get into third-party delivery, the experience suddenly becomes with them. So if your food arrives cold or if it drops, it hits the floor, they're not going to say third-party delivery guy messed up my food. They're going to associate that with your brand. So as you were talking, Kevin, that's what I was thinking about. And how much of a concern is that really? And did you do any research on that? Did that come up at all?
Quality is absolutely critical, right?
But the correlation between who's delivering it.
Even how that person appears to your door, right? You don't want. I'm not suggesting that people who don't work for Grubhub or any of those places show up and they're not less, but we want to have a certain presentation.
Yeah, that's why one of our clients, Domino's Pizza, they've built their own delivery fleet, although, there's a lot of capital expenses involved there. So there are ways to work with third-party providers where you can take the transaction through your own properties, your own websites, and then kind of fulfill through third-party services, and you can put controls on, are they allowed to pick up multiple stores, or what's the delivery time guarantee and things like that, promise times.
And have you noticed how Domino's is now running a whole marketing campaign about getting you to try to come into the store to pick up your food? They're rewarding you for picking up your food, which is kind of funny because we're going the other way. We're trying to get
it's higher margin.
Yeah.
So in our study, we saw, 87% of the participants said they are in fact interested in ordering more QSR style, more made-to-order types of products from convenience retailers. It sounds like that's consistent with what you're seeing, but maybe you could share a little bit more about what are the types of products that your customers are most commonly ordering, and then how does that influence the basket? Are they just ordering food, or do you see other types of cross-category products being purchased and bundled together as well?
We can start. Again, with the All-Town Fresh piece that I can speak to, meal kits are very big, but we finding our guests would prefer them to be fully prepared. So fully prepared meals coming through for families 4 or more. Seems to be a very big piece. Of course, we have the individual, but things that are actually getting delivered to the homes and offices, and people actually picking up on their way, because not everybody, chooses to have the delivery service. All of them play a big part, and as a result, they might pick up, beverages and a few side items. That's basically, it's all about the food for the All-Town people.
With respect to the Dash-ins, I'm going to kind of talk through the stores. Again, the 2/3 of the stores which have the kitchen that we talked about, what we call our neighborhood stores. In those stores, because of the experience, right? I just talked about the experience the customer has to see their food being made fresh. 40% of all our sales, food sales, are through the kiosk. So we have the kiosk and we have a made-to-order program, and that is really, really significant with respect to what we do. Just another simple stat, our legacy stores versus our neighborhood stores, the neighborhood stores outpace our legacy stores over 50% in terms of the food that we sell through, obviously, the neighborhood store. So there's obviously value in jumping to that other format. To answer your question on the top item, and no, we are not known for this. This is not our signature item, but our top selling category is quesadillas. It's something different, unique. Nobody else typically has done this in our marketplace, so it's just something that took off when we started this journey in 2018, 2019 with our food service program, and it's pretty much the top selling category, which is, I think, between 40 to 50%, I think, of our overall food sales are in this category, which is huge. And then we copied Papa John's, and Papa John's, for anybody that's seen the commercials, has now the new papadilla, right? This big chunk of pizza that's folded. So we've come up with the stackadilla, which is now taking the quesadilla and kind of double stacking it. So you have 2 pieces, easy to eat, on the go, which is a pretty cool thing. And it's trademarked, so please don't go after it. So that's a pretty cool thing. Another piece on the basket, I'm sure a lot of folks do it. Joy, I know you guys said you all do it also, is the bundling. So what we call it as make it a meal. Make it a meal is another very big thing, and I think about 50 to 60%, if not higher, of all our food service sales are with make it a meal. So the bundle is big because it adds to the average ticket, it adds to the margin, and it's been super successful for us. So from that point of view, it's been amazing. And I don't have a loyalty program yet. It's coming this fall, but I can tell you that just being in the industry for so long and talking to our store managers who've been there for a while, we've seen in terms of consumer behaviors, a consumer that comes for our food service is 2 to 3 times more likely to come in and comes in than the average customer in a given week. So that's pretty big.
So I forgot to mention this, but rather than waiting for questions at the end, I always prefer to make it a little bit more interactive. So I wanted to throw it out to the audience to see if anybody had a question to start us off with before we keep going with our prepared questions.
If I can follow up too with the G-Man, you mentioned these food service customers are coming in. I'm sure, Joy, you have a high rate of return customers. Are you starting to see a drop off with the rising price of gas? And at what point do you think it will be a little prohibitive for people to eat, in the store 3-4 times a week?
I have not seen an impact with the results of fuel. I think people are still going to work, still doing things. People are, obviously coming off the COVID and they feel more free. We have not seen that yet. We'll see what happens. I mean, as a result of having, these products and the cost of goods as a result of the fuel, retail's had to increase, but believing that a fair, a great product for a fair price, that kind of a mentality and thought process, that's kind of like how we push it through, and it seems to be good for us.
Good.
Yeah, I think very similar. We've not seen it taper off, but I think largely because we've seen a lot more folks on the road than they were previously, right? But also what I've also done is I've upped the level of promotions and marketing. So we are doing a lot more promotions, twofers, couponing to drive people in. So that helps you, right? That's a very big deal. Okay, if I'm going to give you a twofer deal or give you a 50% off, because my goal is for you to come in and try it. And if you try it, you like it, you're going to come back again and buy it, right? At the full price. So from that point of view, we haven't really seen major drop off. In fact, we are month after month so far. We think this month is going to be one of our top food service sales month.
Good.
I think we have a question over here. If you could just state your name and.
My name's Alex. I'm with Kent Quick, and this question's for Joy. What percentage lift did you see when you added delivery? And if you started your store with delivery, what percentage of your business is delivery?
So we started with deliveries from the very beginning with the Alltown Fresh brand, from the get-go. It didn't really, we had it organically from the start, so we've always had it. I would say at least 30% of everything that they sell out of there is through like a catering, we call it catering or delivery type of an order.
Yeah, and also just learning from the restaurant industry, over the last 5 years, you've seen a tremendous shift from, point of sale transactions to online ordering and even delivery. And you'll typically see about 20% higher transactions from digital than at the point of sale. And then on top of that, you'll typically see like 2 times greater transactions for delivery than at the point of sale if we're benchmarking off of like the fast casual or QSR industry.
Yeah, we knew that this was a very important piece from the get-go, especially with this particular menu and the effort that we put forth, that it was different, and we wanted to kind of differentiate ourselves from the very beginning. So that's what that was.
So let's go with some like lessons learned. I imagine there's a number of retailers here that are thinking about developing or recognize they need to develop a stronger food service offering. What are some of the lessons learned you've learned along the way, and what can you kind of share with the audience?
Do you want me to go first?
I can go first. It's up to you. Yeah.
Okay, so what I learned is we have currently soon to be 12 Alltown Fresh stores. And I work with another project called The Other 300. And those are stores that still need to have a program and report sales regardless, and not have the pulled pork and Japanese bento boxes, because that's obviously out of the norm. So those stores, I had to think and be very flexible and understand that we needed to supply programs that these stores could execute with a limited labor pool and limited skill set for these laborers, for the labor. So I had to understand what I need to do to develop a program that really was running on a single coverage, which I'm sure a lot of you have that, even though everyone talks about having a robust program. It is what it is, right? That's why we're all here to help each other out. When I have that program, I went to my manufacturer partners and said, I still want to offer an example, a great hot breakfast sandwich, but we have 2 ways of doing it. I love the cracked egg program. Wherever I can do it, I do it. Don't misunderstand, because we like fresh eggs. That's the point of differentiation for breakfast sandwiches, in my opinion. And it proves itself, because when I pull our sales, the top breakfast stores are the ones that crack eggs. The best pizza ones are the ones who stretch dough. I mean, those are the real authenticity. But what do I do with a store that has, like, the manager's already worked like 65 hours, and I'm like, you still have to put out food? Had my manufacturers develop recipes and programs that work for global calzones. We have 9 of them They are produced off-site, but they're made just for global. Our pizza program, proprietary pizza program, I'd love for them to be able to do everything in every store. They can't. So what do I have to do to make that happen? Went to my manufacturer partner. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Help me develop a program that's pretty much turnkey. As a result, there are certain subcategories that have grown 130% over prior year. And that's because I do understand, beyond All-Town Fresh and our bento boxes and quinoa bowls, there are the people that come every single day that are looking for burgers and pizza and wings, and we do supply those in my project called the Other 300. Speaking with Jerome, everything starting from that cup of coffee, right? If you don't have a wonderful cup of coffee to start off with, everything starts with that, because then the next natural progression is let's bring a great bakery program in. I'm a baker by trade, master baker, used to teach at Johnson & Wales, baking and pastry, right, and chemistry. I buy a great product from a manufacturer that's packaging it for us, because I know that at site level, I can't expect the people to go ahead and bake off, 3 dozen muffins and throw away 2 of them, because it's a problem. So we understand what those are, we address them, and I have programs for all the stores, including the Other 300. So just how we do business at Global. We make sure we can stay in business, offer a great product for a fair price. I can't say it enough.
That's great, thank you. G-Man, same question?
Yeah, so for anybody wanting to get into the food service part of the business, I'd say in terms of lessons learned, or just, I guess, words of advice, would be, number 1, be patient. It is a marathon, and if you or your company thinks you're not going to make money in the first 30, 60, 90, even 180 days, that ain't happening. It truly took us over a year to get it, a year to year and a half to get it right, and finally see the ROI and the profits of what we put in there. There's just a lot of learning, testing, and tweaking that you're going to do in your food service program as you look to do that. Another big one, please make sure that you are committed, because there's a lot to be done with respect to understanding the foundation of food safety and food quality. That's another very big thing that folks have to understand. You just can't jump into food service like that. A big one, and the reason why we are all here today, in these kind of settings, is share groups. Food service to me might mean something different than to you or your company. So please make sure you all define what food service is, and then make sure you all talk to some other like-minded retailers who've done it, and join share groups and understand from there. And I think that is critical, because there is going to be a lot of test and learn, and I think meeting and talking to people that have done it, thank you. The information exchanges yesterday were amazing for, some good learnings I had, and meeting with some great folks. Doing those kind of things, getting some connections is fantastic as you're thinking about what to do next, so that you can learn from somebody else's mistakes, don't repeat them, and you can kind of have a good plan going forward. But please, it's going to take time. Food service is not easy, and that's why there are not a lot of retailers that are doing it. But if y'all get it right, and we finally think we might have, it definitely makes money and it adds to the profits.
Great. So another opportunity to pass it out to the audience. Does anybody have any questions that they wanted to ask our panelists?
Well, we're waiting for the question. If I could add on to what Gina just said. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen retailers make, and Joy, you may be able to attest to this, over the past 20 years, is that when you want to get into food service, they jam a menu together, and we're going to sell pizza and burgers and hot dogs. And that's too much. You have to start slow. Do one thing, do it really, really well, and then move on. When you try to add too much, you're just going to get lost. It's not turnkey enough to have your employees just suddenly become food service experts.
Yeah, and I think you have to also understand, especially when you're just first starting, when are the people actually in the stores? So if you have the opportunity to, find out sales by hour, and you see that between 4 a.m. and 10 a.m., that's when you have the bulk of people that are commuting in, I would encourage you to, again, look at your coffee program, start with bakery, move into a breakfast, because that's when your customers are already there, or your guests, sorry. are already in the store. So you don't even have to look for them. You have opportunity under your roof. And even if you say, well, they're just buying cigarettes, well, they're still in the store. You have an opportunity to really wow them. And I think that's one of the things we at Global try and do. We try and offer a wow experience, something that they've never seen before. Everything from how they're greeted at the door, to the food products that they have, to the packaging that we put the food in. I mean, we think through everything to make sure it's really what we consider best in class.
And predictive analytics are becoming a big thing. I don't know if you're using that as well.
Absolutely, that's exactly how I know when the people are in the stores and how to handle it and what to sell, and we work on those pieces every day as well.
Question? Name
Yep.
and question.
Yes, so I had a quick question. Kind of coming into food service from more of a restaurant and going into the convenience stores, one of the things that I kind of struggle with is the misconception of it has to be just fast, right? I'm much more on quality because I'm a restaurant guy. How fast, as you guys started making this transition, did you see the guests noticing it, and or what did you use to push that message out that it is made fresh, or this is quality ingredients, or displaying that message that it's not just your normal convenience store food? How did you get that out to the guest, and how quickly was it accepted and building off of?
Great question. So again, I think building that retail theater helps. So I don't have to say things or show things when I can have the guest experience that for themselves, right? I mean, you go up to our kiosk in our stores and you're ordering it, and the kitchen is right behind you, and the team members taking the stuff and cracking the eggs fresh, or cooking your bacon for your breakfast sandwich, right? Putting your sausage patty on the griddle to cook it. So you kind of are seeing that, right? You're smelling the food being cooked for you and being packed for you and coming out fresh. So some of that helps. I will tell you the other big piece for us is sampling. Anybody's gone back to Costco recently? Have you guys seen the lines? They've started sampling again, and those lines are crazy. There is something in that, you know. If you try it, you like it, you're going to buy it. I mean, I totally say that that's a big deal, and we have a very big audience in terms of customers at the pumps. And how do you get them in? Is by doing some sampling. So when you do some of those kind of programs, right, you don't have to really sell them the fact that, okay, it's all made fresh on site and it's quality. You try it, you come in, you see it, and you know, you're like, wow, I'm going to come back again.
And on the global side, we actually have a marketing team that's dedicated to, you know, social media. And as a result, we are constantly blasting out about the All Town Fresh especially. I can tell you that during the pandemic, we had a really unique opportunity to get our food out almost free of waste. We knew we were going to have a tremendous amount of waste during the pandemic. Our stores, All Town Fresh and the Legacy portfolio, were instructed pretty much to feed the community that we serve. So once a week or a couple times a week, each store manager would gather together their food, and if it was All Town Fresh, because you speak about restaurant quality, and I encourage you to look at our website and, you know, just kind of browse, and if you have any questions, myself, Dora Ocampo is with me today. She did a fabulous job on her presentation, but we can both speak to the fact that we do a lot of sampling as well. I can't agree enough, but it's like beyond the walls of the building. How are we going to tell people? So by feeding the community, the amount of, I would say, response that we didn't even have to provide from social media, that we heard through the towns and the people that we served, that the food was amazing. This is totally an anomaly, and it'll never probably happen again, but All Town Fresh catered a dinner for Robert Kraft. I mean, it was that impressive. But again, the other 300 stores, what do we do? It is what it is, it's fine, but I'm just saying the idea is somewhere between All Town Fresh and All Town Legacy is probably where we'll eventually end up. But getting that message out, I suggest, you know, talking with the employees and having them buy into it and explain the story. We create an experience, and I think that helps a lot. You know, it's not just, selling out of a truck. Not that some of the food trucks are amazing. It's not that, but I'm just saying, like, we're going to put the effort in. We're going to pick the right colors. We're going to pick the right packaging. We're going to pick the right people to deliver for you. That speaks to your commitment and authenticity to the fresh piece. And we do the same thing, even with that express menu that I spoke of. I mean, I didn't just go to anybody. You know, we went to great partners. Actually met a really nice lady here who's going to help me with some work. We'll see how that goes. But I just, you know, you just want to, I would say, don't acquiesce and give less than you think you should be giving. And just get that message out through Facebook. My kids tell me Facebook's for old people. I mean, whatever, you can do your own. Before we had our social media team, I would always take pictures of our food. Dora will tell you I'm crazy with pictures and all that. And I post them, and we get so much like, wow, this is great, you know? You want to get the food into people's mouths. And unfortunately, not everybody's in our building. So sometimes you have to go outside the building to do it. So you feed your DPW workers, you send things over to the police station. You want to get with those are the people that are so important. Those are the people who work in the towns. Those are the people who are going to talk about your product. That's more local, but social media all the way to get the information out.
That's great. I love when the audience questions line up with ours perfectly.
There you go.
G-Man, did you have anything you wanted to add around kind of like out-of-store promotion of your food service offerings?
Yeah. So I'm a traditional marketer at heart, and you know, been around the block across different companies. So the word that comes to mind, the buzzword, is omni-channel, and that's truly what we do. So we are not just talking to a customer through one channel. For every for every seasonal campaign that we have, we are doing a combination of direct mail, in-store sampling. We're doing obviously signage in store. But then on the outside of the store piece, we do email. So we have a robust email database. Hopefully y'all are collecting emails from your customers or some kind of information. We have SMS short code. So we have a lot of folks that have opted in for our SMSs. So we do SMS. And then last but not the least is digital advertising. And yes, social is actually a very big thing. We just recently posted one of our food service folks a reel, a social media reel on making a breakfast egg and cheese sandwich with the freshly cracked eggs. And literally overnight, that's the one post in the recent memory that I have that overnight got over like 300 to 400 likes. So it's just having fun with that kind of stuff that we are doing, and it's just the word of mouth that's spreading is huge.
And at some point, by the way, both of you said food service theater, you said food service experience. That's one of the things that you asked earlier who the leading retailers are, who's doing a great job. It's the guys that are focused on the presentation, the experience. You know when you're going into a store and you can see them making the food, or you can order and customize and get it the way you want.
Even your heat slide, like if it's dusty on top, if there's debris around it, we don't want anything within like 3 feet of the food area. We don't want shippers, we don't want racks, we don't want tie beanie babies, those kind of things. We want the food to be the star of the show. It's your highest margin item. It will either really elevate you or it will kill you if you don't respect it and understand this is a program that requires commitment.
I appreciate all the practical
I think,
questions. We
Jeff.
haven't had anything about crypto, no meta strategy.
Jeff,
Question over here.
Yeah, this relates to experience as well. Obviously, in food service, consistency can be a little bit more difficult. Considering that and the understanding that research has also indicated that, a great way to build loyalty is when something goes wrong, go above and beyond with the customer to make them feel special. So considering delivery, do you have any tips or takeaways in how to resolve issues with orders when maybe you don't have the customer standing in your store or you're working with third-party companies?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I can tell you what we do. So we are with DoorDash today, and we have a pilot that we've started for over the last year. And coming back to the subject at heart, I'll give you one quick stat first before I answer your question. Interesting learning on the DoorDash pilot that we have going on, which is more than 2/3, nearly I think 70% of our sales are in the evening day part. So there is something about delivery which is huge, and that was a very good learning for us. Another big fact was our basket size, like significantly higher for a DoorDash order. So we get number one, evening day part, which is really less for us. Number two, the average basket is significantly high because if you're going to pay for delivery, you're going to add some other center store items into the basket, which is good for us in terms of margin again, right? So that's huge. Now what we have is, you're right, have we got it all right? No. I mean, some cases, whether it's our fault or the delivery guy dropped the bag or did whatever, at the end of the day, it's the Dashin logo and the Dashin experience that the customer had. So we obviously also have a very good feedback system that a customer can go on our website and give us feedback, or case management system that we operate, and we can get back to the customer. And typically what we do is we send them a gift card. I mean, is it immediate gratification? No. But for the ones that we have to, yes, we have anywhere from $5 to $25 gift cards that we'll take care of the customer and do what's right, and obviously give them the value of more than what they bought, so they then feel good, and hopefully they either come back or use it.
I just learned how to get a free Dashin gift card.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to like empowering your store managers as well. I know a lot of our restaurant clients, they have pipes to feed that customer feedback like directly to the store managers. So if you're submitting feedback in an app store, in a survey form, however it gets to the brand, they'll route those directly to the store managers who can respond kind of more in a tailored, localized way.
You have a question over here?
Just real quick, going back to social media, do you ever struggle posting food when stores have different offerings? Or do you ever hold back if a handful of stores have, if not all of your stores have your quesadillas, or not all of your stores have your fresh breakfast sandwiches? Do you ever struggle figuring out how to navigate when you have one, blanket page, and yet your stores don't have the same food offerings?
Oh, we have the same food everywhere. What are you talking about? Everything's fine. I have no idea. Yeah, it's a constant struggle. A lot of times Dora, correct me if I'm wrong, because she's good about that. One of the things I'll tell you is our marketing team will send out, like at site level, packages, and it addresses if that particular site does not participate in one of the programs, or it just will not receive that marketing. I think that is the ultimate struggle, and that's the goal, to try and get us all on that same page so they can go ahead and do a blanket. It was National Pizza Day. I only have 80 sites who do pizza, but I have 300 sites who do food, and so we weren't able to really capture what we wanted, but there's always that disclaimer, not available at all sites, and I'm all for that. Like, let's put it all on the table. Let's sell what we can and what makes sense. And in those sites, I mean, if we have an abundance of people looking for things that site didn't have, well, then maybe I made a mistake, and we should. I make a lot of mistakes. Lots.
But the other thing about digital and social media is you can geo-target. So please make sure you're using that. I mean, that's what my team is doing, right? So we have in-house for organic, and then we have an agency that does paid social. So we do both, but everything is kind of well-defined within our stores. So I give first priority in terms of messaging around our neighborhood stores, in terms of what we have to offer there, and then around the other stores. Now, yes, do we have some stores that are side by side with a legacy store? Absolutely, but you can only do it, that science only works to the extent you can, but to the extent we can minimize that, we are absolutely doing so. Even when I do my direct mails, like I mentioned earlier, I'm only doing it around my neighborhood stores, right? Because that's where I have, that's where I have the best mousetrap, and that's where I want customers to visit till the next 2 years when we kind of remodel the other stores. So that's what we're doing, is targeting the marketing all around our neighborhood stores.
Yeah, it's important to make sure your menu, your location, all that sort of information shows up properly on search engines as well. So it's kind of about democratizing your data. And there's some great tools out there that can help you take your menus in a localized way, list them properly on search engines on your website, so customers can find the information they're looking for and know what products you're offering at each store.
we're done. You want to wrap up?
I think we're at time
Flashing
here.
red. That means we gotta wrap up.
Great. Well, thank you to our panelists. I very much appreciate you joining us today, and thank you for everyone for sticking around.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.